Hello, everybody.
All right, so we're going to talk about the Underground Nexus. It's been a while.
It's been a while. Yes, I'm Laura Riley. This is Nato Riley, and we are co-founders of Cloud Underground. And
That's
today
right.
we're here to talk about the Underground Nexus. We are going to be doing a tour of the Underground Nexus, how to build it, what's inside it. We're also going to be showing you, bonus, how to build a Zero Trust Cockpit within your Underground Nexus. Wow.
Yes, so really, we're teaching you how to build a cloud on your desk or wherever you want. So this can be built in the public cloud like AWS, Azure, so on and so forth, or you can build it anywhere that you have can run Docker, really. So if you have a laptop or even a Raspberry Pi, you can use the Underground Nexus.
That's right. It's an amazing development environment. Hyper-converged data center,
And
cloud.
It's for cloud native technologies, and so this is especially for people who build and host technologies with things like Docker, Kubernetes, and if you work with cloud or cloud native in general. So this is especially specific to cloud native technology.
Yeah, and the other thing we like to say about the Nexus is that it puts the sec in your DevSecOps. The sec in your DevOps, so you're getting the DevSecOps with the Underground Nexus.
That's right. It actually has an entire DevSecOps pipeline built into it, which we will see and we will show you. So the new Nexus is now the Underground Nexus is a matured platform with thousands and thousands of hours of testing and stability testing. It's used for hosting cloud applications, whether it's something that lives locally or, like we said, in the cloud. So let's take a look at how to do this.
Okay, so I'm going to show us how to find the GitHub repository for the Underground Nexus, starting just at the Cloud Underground website. So if you come over here to the Underground Nexus, we're going to go to the Underground Nexus free download. And then over here, we're going to have a few links that we can get to. This is just going to take us back to that landing page we were just at. And then here we have the Underground Nexus GitHub. We also have a couple other links here that we'll talk about really briefly. There is an OS version of the Underground Nexus. If that's something you're interested in installing, we highly encourage you to go to the DevSecOps Dojo, join the dojo. It's a free professional community where we have full instructions on how to do the OS build. So we highly recommend that you go over there. It's a little more complicated than the containerized version. So that's why we're going to start you off here with the containerized version over on GitHub. So if you click this link, it's going to take you over to our GitHub. Here it is. And this is where you will find everything you need to build the Underground Nexus copy-paste data center and DevSecOps software factory. So, of course, we have a nice little table of contents. We're going to start out with like intro, helpful tips, lots of good stuff. We have our install step 1 and 2. We'll go there in just a moment. But before I take us to the install step, we're going to just kind of look through here a little bit. This is your instructions for once you've built it, how you can navigate through and some of the tools. We'll come back to this and look more at this. And then instructions on how to deploy virtual machines within your Nexus.
That's right. You can build virtual machines in the Underground Nexus. It actually is a containerized hypervisor, and there is an operating system flavor of the Underground Nexus, so that you can do bare metal installs, which you can come to the DevSecOps Dojo if you want the operating system version, which is also a hypervisor that runs Docker and Kubernetes applications as well on top of virtual machines, and it also emulates virtual machines, so all versions of the Underground Nexus can emulate virtual machines whether or not you have virtualization.
That's right. So here's some visualizations for what is the Nexus. You can come and read all of this again on our GitHub. Learn a lot more about it, what it is, how it works. All right, and then so let's navigate back up.
So let's just install, and then they can see
install.
Exactly
yeah. All right. So
how
we'll
simple
start
it is.
Install step 1. So we are going to be actually rebuilding a Nexus. So So we're going to do an extra step to start. If you are fresh building a brand new Nexus, just hold with us for just a moment. Okay, if you are rebuilding a Nexus environment, if you already have a Nexus built and for whatever reason you need to just blow it up and start over again, this is how you do this. So, first and foremost,
without losing all your data.
Without losing all your data. Yes, correct. So we're going to show that. I guess I need to make sure I'm doing this all in order.
So the way that this works is you want to select your Nexus container, and you will want to basically stop this first, or you will not be able to delete things. So until you've stopped your container, you're not going to be able to do a lot of things. So it can take a little bit of time to stop your Underground Nexus container. That's normal. It shouldn't take all that long. Once it stops, you can simply delete it forever. You can let it take its time to delete. And there are different types of data that you can keep if you want to maintain any backups or save anything with your Underground Nexus. But for now, we'll just wait till this finishes. Some things to know when you are setting up a new Underground Nexus. You don't have to really worry about whatever else is, I guess, like volume mappings, all these things that we're showing is not going to be relevant for someone building a fresh, brand new Underground Nexus. But one thing that you do want to pay attention to is whether or not you have other containers conflicting with port 1000 or some of the other ports when setting up an Underground Nexus. If you've been building containers, you know what I mean by ports. If you're new to containers, welcome to containers. So the next thing that you want to do is you can look at these options on the side, but we're going to go to images next, and we are going to just delete our image. So Underground Nexus, you can just select whatever images that you have of it, and you can just delete them, and it gets rid of them. So this is going to allow you to get the latest version of the Underground Nexus image if you're trying to get newer updates. The Underground Nexus has a way to update it without doing any of this as well, which we'll take a look at. But this is if anyone's trying to do a really fresh build, then you want to go over to volumes, and it's really important to make sure that you maintain the Nexus bucket is the one thing that you want to keep. And also, if you are trying to keep a lot of your other data, it might make sense to back up data from your Nexus data directory. So this is going to have anything that's like a customization on your webtop, desktop, configurations are saved in here, anything that's like a configuration. If you do want to keep this, then Pi-holes data is the only thing that really needs to be deleted, so you can keep everything but Pi-holes data if you want it as well. But let's go ahead and get rid of this. Oh, so actually, you might have some other things in here. I have a Portainer running. If you have like Portainer or another container volume running, that's not related to the Underground Nexus.
Okay, cool. Well, there you go. So if you are rebuilding your Nexus, now you have a fresh environment to start with. And if you are building a brand new Nexus environment, then this is the place to start paying attention. All right, so we're going to come on over to install step 1 on our GitHub over here. So we're going to do, so there's 4 different builds that you can do. There is 2 for AMD 64 systems, and then there's 2 for ARM systems. So the ARM system, I think the ARM builds are a little lighter weight. Is that...
It's just ARM versus AMD 64.
Okay.
Different hardware. If you just grab the right thing for your hardware.
Sure.
And the difference between the secure and development versions has more to do with don't deploy the development version if you're not behind a firewall for the most part.
For today's purposes, we're going to go ahead and do the development version. So we call it a copy-paste data center because all you got to do is copy and paste 2 lines of code. So here's our first line of code. We're going to copy this. We're going to head on over to our terminal. If you're in Windows, it's your terminal. If you're in Mac OS, it's terminal. Okay, cool. Oh, there you go. Okay, and then oops, I shouldn't touch that. I should just. There we go. And here we go. And now it
starts creating it.
Yeah. Finding all of the pieces.
Yeah.
And this doesn't take too long. This should only take a couple minutes, if that. This is a pretty quick process. This is the short part of the process. And as soon as we get through here, then we will go ahead and paste our next line of code, which, if you're in our GitHub here, you just go to install step 2. And this is the activation command that you're going to paste in next. So this is it. Copy. Go over to our shell. Paste it in there. And there we go. And now your Underground Nexus is officially building. This step of the process can actually take a little longer, depending on, the speed of your system, your internet speeds, these sorts of things. So it can take anywhere from 20, 30 minutes to probably up to an hour. Usually I think our average for me is usually about 45 minutes on the machines that I'm typically building on. This one's a little faster, so it probably won't take that long. But we're not going to just sit here and watch this do this so much.
Yeah, and one thing, when you see Portainer, it's building Portainer right now. At this point, you can go and set the password for Portainer, but otherwise, so I'll show you, it just says Portainer just completed. So you can say localhost and then go to port 9050. So since you can't see that on the screen, well, I guess you can see it on the screen because it's like bubbling down. Yeah. That's good. That's what we want. So it takes you over here to this little login here, and then you can go ahead and set up whatever your appropriate password is for your thing.
And while Nathan's putting in that password, I will also say that trying to remember these addresses, localhost 9050, those sorts of things, they're all in the GitHub, so you don't have to remember them.
Yeah, so
it's all contained within there.
You can go over to the GitHub to figure out where that's located, which is actually right here, just as Laura's talking about, which I will highlight because you can't really see very well. It just says head to Portainer at localhost 9050. You can see the kind of relative location. It's under the install step 2 section, so that you can see where would you go to access this, and so you can say get started. So I guess you don't have to do what I did to just type that in. You can just go to the GitHub and you can simply
click the
follow the link, which won't work until you have Portainer working. But anyways, as soon as you see Portainer appear, then that link is going to work. So.
And I will say too, if you start your Nexus build and then walk away for a while it's running all that code, that's totally fine too. You might come back and find that your Portainer has locked itself out. If that happens, then you can see Nathan just highlighted the reset command for that. So you would just copy paste this, put it in your terminal, and that would relaunch Portainer and allow you to put in your login credentials then.
That's right.
All right. So there you go. So of course ours is still building. We're just gonna put this over here so we can keep an eye on it, and let's continue our tour here. Okay, so let's say that you have completed building your Nexus. What does that look like? Let's find out. Oh, here we are, and this is what it's gonna look like. Once you go to your localhost 1000, which again, you're just gonna follow this link, and it's gonna take you right here.
Boom.
Type in your password, which is just ABC.
Yep, the default password is ABC.
The
Just like the
is
username,
ABC.
which you can change And I'll just say this real quick. You can always Google how to change your password with Ubuntu. That's how you know how to, if you're like, oh, I forgot how to change my password. It's Ubuntu. So what you'll find is that it's PASSWD space ABC. That will let you change your password.
There you go.
And if you already know how to use Linux and Ubuntu, then it's nothing new.
Nothing new. All right, so this is our Underground Nexus workbench. So we're going to go over to Firefox and take a look at what we see there. So when you open up Firefox, it's going to actually automatically open up all of the built-in features, or not all of them, but most of them, a bunch of the really useful ones. We have the Cloud Underground website, you've got your Portainer instance. You're also going to get this lovely, beautiful Nexus Git-BIOS control panel. And this is going to have everything you need once you get inside the Nexus. So, the first thing we're going to point out here is the Zero Trust Cockpit. We highly encourage everyone who is working in the Underground Nexus to learn even more about the Nexus and DevSecOps, Cloud Native, all of these things. And we teach that in a free cloud intro program called Cloud Jutsu. It's the DevSecOps Dojo prereqs and the Zero Trust Cockpit app builder. So if you can click on over, this is going to take you over to our website, and you can sign up for this awesome free program that we released. It's super beefy. It's got some DevSecOps Dojo archive trainings in there. You're going to learn a lot about the philosophies behind Cloud Underground and everything that we do.
It has the entire history of exactly how we made the Underground Nexus with the sessions that we did to start it, and all of it, and the whole journey for how we even made it, how it even exists.
Exactly.
And the models that we use, because we use very specific models and we follow 3-year cycles. What is that? What does it mean? How do you start a new minimum viable product? How do you come up with a new idea?
Yeah, so we walk you through all of the kind of core concepts, and then we also kind of help point you in the direction of where you can go next once you've completed this program. And then, of course, a big part of this also is we're going to show you how to build a Zero Trust Cockpit and deploy GitLab runners for your secure development. We're going to do that in a little bit. We'll get to that. Okay, so of course you can just go and sign up. That's free, and you should definitely check it out.
You'll learn all those things.
And okay, so some more helpful links. We have the Cloud Underground website. You can check out our 24/7 radio live stream. I believe it's going strong as we speak. Oh, it's a little slow.
You can refresh
I should
it.
close some of these tabs. That would probably help too. Cool. So this is our radio live stream. This is all royalty-free music that you can listen to or play in the background of your YouTube videos or whatever.
It's hosted from the original bare metal version of what became the Underground Nexus. So the Underground Nexus is actually made in all hardware first. So the Nexus OS brings us back to being able to build bare metal Underground Nexus kits. So you can come to the DevSecOps Dojo to learn how to build bare metal Underground Nexus environments like what we run, and this is what that runs on, is the first bare metal Underground Nexus deployment.
And it's also just a great example of something that you can build with the Underground Nexus.
Yeah.
There you go. You can build a 24/7 radio live stream on YouTube. Super cool.
Yeah, learn the basics of continuous hosting.
All right. So I'll let you kind of go through a lot of these. Hackasat's always a fun one if you want to dive in like a gamified way. And yeah, so let's take a look at some of the built-in tools. Of course, we have Portainer. You can also navigate to Portainer from this tab here. And this is going to show you everything that's happening in your Underground Nexus.
Everything. It's all there.
The other thing about the built-in tools is it's going to give you all of the password information for, like, the default passwords for all of these tools. What else should we show off, Nathan? I'll let you guide us for a minute here.
So let's just go through everything here, because the Underground Nexus, it's an engineering tool, and engineering is rather boring and straightforward. So ultimately, it's a hyper-converged data center. So if we take a look at just these pins here, first, of course, we have our website. So you can access our website and your courses and all of that material here. And then we have Portainer pinned as well, so everything's not just in that homepage. Then you'll also notice that we have Pi-hole. You can start typing in Visual Studio Code, so you can make new files and things like that and start creating things, code things. You also then have minIO over here, which lets you build storage buckets. So whenever you're trying to basically save some data or store something or share data that you're collaborating with, or backups, or if you wanted to build an Underground Nexus NAS, if that's what you wanted to do, then you would use minIO to turn your Underground Nexus into a NAS if that's the goal, or you can use it to back up your data. So when we rebuilt the Underground Nexus, it's important to make sure that whatever you have that you care most about is inside of this Nexus bucket directory. And when you put things inside of minIO, which we'll take a look at later, the data ends up here inside of this S3 torpedo. So the minIO tool is an S3 bucket. It lets you build S3 buckets. So this is the important thing. This is where all your important data needs to be saved, so that you don't lose everything if you rebuild like what we just did. That is the Nexus bucket. So Vault is for secrets management, and then we do have a security operations center that runs inside of the Underground Nexus. So this is where you can use this as a malware lab or build security operations centers. So if you're building dedicated labs, see if it's going to decide what it wants to do. This, when it loads for the first time, has to generate an environment, so we'll come back to that too. So that's going to go ahead and build its environment, and we'll just kind of start from this Git-BIOS page. The value of the Git-BIOS page is this is your home for finding everything from how you can learn how to use the Underground Nexus to how you can access all of its resources. And so some of the items are not pinned. I will let you take your time to, play around with things like Pi-hole and all that, but let's take a look at Grafana. Grafana is one of the newest things added to the Underground Nexus. And we have an entire observability stack. Now, this is where, for those of you who spend a lot of time doing a lot of actual engineering, building whatever it is that you like to build or need for running your business, we have a pre-built dashboard in here for monitoring the basics of your environment. You can see that we're using quite a bit of memory in this little environment right here. But you can see, if things are acting a certain way, you might wonder why is it sometimes being a little slow right now? I will tell you that running Grafana inside of the Mate webtop, it's better to run it inside of the Security Operations Center desktop, which I'll probably just show you. So for now, I'm going to close Grafana. So that's something that's worth noting. So let me just go to leave page here and show you sort of an easier way to work with Grafana if this loads. Well, we have another Underground Nexus building, so that one's a fresh one. So this is just an older Nexus that's been sitting here that we use for demos. We'll come back to that. But just know that Grafana's in there, and there are a few other things that I want to show you outside of the pre-built dashboards, and just knowing that the security operations centers, the way that its memory is designed to let you run those dashboards without having your memory impacted heavily. So if you're like, whoa, dashboards, what's going on? That's what the security operations center desktop is for. The other thing that you'll want to know about is if you go into the settings with the 3 lines in the top left corner, you can get to this option for data sources. Data sources, if you head there, you'll notice that it has Elasticsearch completely pre-configured, which is actually integrated with Wazuh, and so it right away is configured for threat detection, and so you can build dashboards that show whatever's going on in Wazuh over here. So we can click on Explore and see if there's any data going on in here. But you'll notice that Wazuh is here, and that is where you get to the Wazuh dashboards so that you can explore the Wazuh data. Now, this hasn't been set up to be monitoring anything, so we can come back and see what it looks like to add some data to that. The other thing that you'll notice is there's this resource that says Loki and Prometheus. Both of these are pre-configured inside of the Underground Nexus so that you don't have to configure them from scratch. And we also have it configured so that you can come in here and manually change whatever you're trying to modify in here. So Prometheus is then going to monitor at 9090, port 9090. That's what you'll notice, and that's what all of those dashboards use. So if we go and take a look at the next interesting thing with Wazuh here, and we were talking about looking at threat data, all of the Underground Nexus resources are designed to allow you to monitor the security of your Underground Nexus.
Well, you're doing that. I'm going to kind of monitor the chats real fast and see if I can...
Yeah, that sounds good. So the passwords for both Grafana and Wazuh are in that dashboard that I came from before typing information in here. You can probably get LinkedIn on your phone. Unless you don't have it.
My phone's over there.
Then don't worry about it.
I'll just jump into it over here.
So anyways, we're going to check on the chats real quick. So that's what's going on.
That's what's going on. We did get a comment on our matching outfits. You can match us as well. Go to shop.cloudunderground.dev and you can buy one of these amazing tie-dyed embroidered t-shirts from our Cloud Underground shop. That's right. You can buy merch now from Cloud Underground. Go check it out. shop.cloudunderground.dev.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing about Portainer is you can come over here, and if you're having something like a workbench that's hanging for some reason, you can just restart the whole thing. It's basically like rebooting it. And you can also install your Underground Nexus environment on more powerful systems. So the one that we're having a new Nexus build itself on is far more powerful than this little demo box that we're kind of using to show you a tour of while we wait for the superior Underground Nexus to complete building. So I just went ahead and restarted that container, and then we'll get into showing you Wazuh so that you can know what that is. So it shouldn't take too long. You can see what a container is doing when they're reloading. This is saying, all right, we might have to restart this again.
Yeah, it's just the nature of it.
So if you're running the Underground Nexus on a less powerful machine, this might be something that you... Oh, wait a minute. I am actually doing this on the wrong machine entirely, so that's not going to help us. Let me... Let me change a few things around.
Some quick on-the-go troubleshooting here. So anyone who's watching, I definitely do encourage people to join us in the DevSecOps Dojo. You can find that link on our website, cloudunderground.dev / I don't know. It's like DevSecOps-Dojo, I think. So yeah, you can go and join our Discord community. You know, I think one thing that has become of our Discord community is it's become like a super fun, like just social space. And there's always people talking about like the latest and greatest in cloud native in, you know, we have a channel for like space technology, AI, all of these things that are, you know, up and coming technologies. And so we always have people in there. If you ever have questions, you know, if you need support using your Nexus, that's the best place to get it, is to come into the DevSecOps Dojo. Nato and I are there. Our CTO Jordan is in there. Our advisor Ken is in there. Our other partner Randy is in there. Plus, you know, hundreds of other people who are also gonna like be able to point you in the right direction. Like if one of the 4 or 5 of us can't answer your question, then you know that there's somebody in the dojo that's gonna be able to help you out, or at least like point you in the right direction to get you started. Another thing that we do in the dojo is we have kind of like a project incubator community, sort of, or an incubator is not the right word, but it's kind of we have sort of a mentorship program for people who are looking to develop minimum viable products and build cloud native business. So if that's something you're interested in as well, we definitely, again, encourage you to come over to the dojo join our Discord community and be a part of the fun. There's lots going on. And actually, every Tuesday night, we do Final Fantasy XIV game nights and DevSecOps Q&As. So you can come and ask questions about DevSecOps or your Nexus environment or whatever it may be. Come and talk to Nato and I. And I think a lot of times Jordan will hop in. One of our other community members, Joe, he's in one of our Underground Ops folks. He's usually there. We got some good folks in there.
So this is Wazuh. So I just went over to a different system. So we have a bunch of demo systems. So one thing that you'll notice with the Underground Nexus is they're easy to set up. And so we always have a lot of them, especially when doing demos. So you'll find the password, the logins to these inside of that little dashboard that you have on the normal Nexuses. Whether or not you want to save these logins is kind of up to you. These environments and how you secure them is kind of up to you. And so some companies will have compliance requirements. And so if you are supposed to be compliant to NIST or PCI, then you'll want to follow whatever those requirements are first. And so this environment actually does have some data running, so it's probably fine that we switched machines anyways, because then I don't have to necessarily show you how to configure an agent. So configuring agents is pretty darn easy. You can see, oh, right here, I guess I don't have the agent up and running, but we can make the agent run. So making an agent run. So inside Workbench containers, if you're trying to make a container start talking to Wazuh, there is this Wazuh-agent script. So you can say sh space Wazuh. You can basically run this little script in here. So this is not necessarily something that you need to memorize, but this is just showing you that Wazuh is, for the most part, all set up and running in here, and that there's a script that lives in the root of the workbench that allows administrators to connect your XDR endpoints to your security, and then you can start looking at the security of any of your little workbenches or virtual desktops. So it gives you immediate observability and insight into everything that's going on, so you can start checking stuff out. And so since this is just a little demo environment anyways, this isn't showing anything that I'm concerned about anyone seeing. You can get an idea of what's your security score look like, is there anything that you should be concerned about, and so if we go back to Grafana, this is a different environment before we built all that. So let me just go to, well, this is the Security Operations Center that wasn't loading on the other thing. There is a Security Operations Center. It tends to be a little better for running certain things. But this is what it looks like, the Security Operations Center. If you're building Grafana dashboards, I'm actually just going to connect to Grafana from inside of here because it's geared to handle dashboard memory a lot better without causing weird issues. So that whole thing that we just ran into, all of that's avoidable when you're like messing around with like Elasticsearch and all of that stuff. That is why we built the Security Operations Center dashboard, so I'm just going to use it so that we don't have to wait for things to load again. So to check out your data, go to grafana.dev. Just going to head over to Grafana again. This is a demo environment, so I'm just going to save the little, this is just the default login for now. So let's see, now that this has data coming in, we can go back to our data sources for Elasticsearch. So this goes back to, in Grafana you go into, basically this is an older version of Grafana, so it looks a little different. But anyways, the whole point is that Wazuh is fully configured in here, and you can start getting that data that quickly. So there's just a simple script inside of the Workbench desktop, and you run that, and you immediately start sending data to Wazuh. And then Wazuh is already sending that data to Grafana, and you can start building security operation centers or threat dashboards, whatever you're trying to build. But you can build all kinds of dashboards, or even just use the plain standard system dashboard that we have here. And Loki is also great for sending something like Nagios data. So if you get NEMS Linux is Nagios Enterprise Monitoring System. You can use things like NEMS Linux with this and send more data over to it. That's something that we do. We love NEMS Linux. So anyways, you can build more than these default little dashboards with Wazuh once you start having this data coming into Wazuh. So that's why it's all set up that way. It's all pre-configured. You could spend months configuring all of these things yourself, but the purpose of the Underground Nexus is it's already configured. And maybe you have to do a few troubleshooting or some troubleshooting, or maybe you have to like tune it to whatever hardware you're using. As you can see, this one's a lot better optimized than the other little demo one that I was using that just got angry, so I'm going to close Grafana on that one. So this other one recovered, by the way. If anyone was wondering why Grafana looks different, Grafana looks a little different. I guess I don't need to go through all this all over again. But anyways, the navigation here is the top left corner is where you find everything in the new Grafana, so that there's not a lot of confusion with me having spent time in the old Grafana. Just remember the top left corner is your friend. That's what we want to focus on. So anyway, from there, you can take a look at a lot of these other options in here. The CyberLife Torpedo is minIO, and if you log in with its login password, this is where you want to save your sensitive data or important data, and also data that you want to apply access management to. So you can create a test bucket or just a bucket for your data, whatever you want to do. And you just have to make sure that there's no uppercase, or it has to all be lowercase and no spaces. And you can then start naming your buckets, organizing your data. And then in terms of sending data into these, you can pretty much just select your bucket, and then it has the option to browse the bucket in the top right corner. And if you wanted to send files into it, you can simply say upload, and you have this little option right here. You can start sending files to it. You can't really see it on our little screen here, so let me move this slightly to the side. There is this upload file option for what you're working with. So anyway, I would say those are probably the most relevant and most important features. If you're wondering about probably the next most important one is GitLab. So GitLab tells you how to set up your login password right here. You can select GitLab, and the default user is root. In order to log in as root, you just have to follow what this is showing here. You need to use this GitLab rake command, which you copy, and then it tells us that we have to go look for a very specific container that says GitLab CE on it. So I'm going to go over to Portainer, and I'm going to go to the containers, and I will type CE or GitLab CE. So there's our GitLab CE. So this is the one that we want. So we can just go into its console, and we just paste our little GitLab command in here. Depending on the system you're using, this is that slower system again, so it could take a moment. But it shouldn't take too terribly long. I mean, it's just a password reset, right? Or is it? So a thing about the GitLab while we're waiting for this to let us enter in a password, GitLab is a complete end-to-end DevOps pipeline, meaning that you can deploy runners from your Underground Nexus, you can manage runners from your Underground Nexus, you can do all kinds of stuff. So let's get in here. Oh no, I typed the matching passwords in wrong and it's making me do it again. All right, I will just type in the password very slowly if I have to when this lets us update it. So we can talk a little bit about something else while we wait for that to let us do this rake thing. While we're waiting to reset our GitLab passwords, I'll bring some attention to the quick reference commands. The Underground Nexus does have a universal patch management system that you can use in the highlighted section here. It does tell you the command to just restart Portainer is right here for restarting. Portainer's name is Olympiad 0. The 0 with Underground Nexuses indicates that it's a resource that really only admins should be using. So if you see a 0 attached to something, then generally speaking, that's admin territory, and someone who's not an admin should probably not be in that location. So if we wanted to update the Underground Nexus, it's pretty easy to do. The Underground Nexus has a root terminal, which I'm just going to show you real quick, and then I'll go back and we'll reset our Underground Nexus, or we'll reset our password for GitLab. So if you open up a terminal inside of Underground Nexus and just paste inside of this terminal, this little command, This command will take you to a red terminal, and this red terminal is actually Kali Linux. So this Kali Linux environment is also the patch management system of the entire Underground Nexus. So you'll find that it has update management, scripts and resources in there, but the way to run scripts appropriately is to just run this exact command directly from the root location of this little shell. So basically just exactly in this order, just run these two commands. I will let you run that command because it updates this website, and we're using it right now, and we're already on the latest version of this little WordPress site. But the Underground Nexus does run updates on its own on Sundays, so every Sunday it will automatically see if there's an update to this little Git-BIOS website here. And then there are a number of other helpful quick start commands here to get you started. And then you can get an idea of what the Underground Nexus architecture looks like. So let's go ahead and reset our password for GitLab.
All right, updated.
So now we can log in as root and type in our password. And it should allow us to log in. It's up to you if you want to save that. And you are in GitLab, which you can go ahead. The first instance here is to start doing your GitLab monitoring. And so basically, as soon as you get started here, you can open up a project to decide how you want to start configuring the monitoring of your Underground Nexus environment. And your GitLab environment, all that good stuff, which you've seen GitLab, Grafana, and Wazuh. We have all these resources in there already to allow you to build out your monitoring resources. So the last thing that we want to kind of end on is we just built this Underground Nexus that has been running, and it's completed now. It does take a while. It actually pretty much just completed, so all that back and forth that we did actually kind of helped buy time because it just finished. It literally takes that long to build an Underground Nexus, about as long as we've just been sitting here talking. So this is a fresh, brand new install of an Underground Nexus, and we are going to learn about the newest thing that we've done with the Underground Nexus that you can use to get working with collaborators and start using the Underground Nexus right away, faster than ever. We've made it way easier to start using the Underground Nexus. So when you come into the WordPress, we've talked lightly about this, but we'll just get logged in here. So here we are with our Git-BIOS control panel, and let's take a look at our Zero Trust Cockpit. We are going to launch a cockpit. So if you already have an account made, I'm going to log in real quick. So there's a little trick I can do to not expose my... So the Underground Nexus is a convenient resource for collaboration. You can actually make it... That's new. It used to not let you run it on multiple screens at the same time, so you can actually have two people here at once. Anyways, what I'm going to do is move us away to a different screen briefly. Okay.
While he logs in real fast here. And then we can give you an idea of what the Cloudjitsu program looks like and show you how to build a Zero Trust Cockpit. Okay, there it is.
Okay, and we're gonna resize this. Okay, now we have...
So when you log into the courses for Cloud Underground, this is what you get.
I guess before I do it, do you want to talk lightly about the course, or we can just
Yeah,
get
we
right into
can
it?
like high level. We can kind of click through it real fast. I
Give
suppose.
it like a, I don't know, 10-second.
10-second overview. You're gonna learn the fundamentals of cloud computing. We're gonna teach you about the philosophy behind the Underground Nexus, cloud native, DevSecOps. Talk a lot. It's a lot about the Underground Nexus and to contextualize a lot of the things. Of course, there's some guidance on how to build it. We also have a Jellyfish form, how to build a super root.
This is a perfect time to talk about high level. So, because I want to get into this new thing, we made a resource that lets you basically like use resources like ChatGPT and AI if you like those types of resources for development. And thanks for going over this. So one thing that Laura got to is these Cloud Jutsu Jellyfish Forms. This is something that shows the different ways that the Underground Nexus can be. I guess we can just get I just want the image, so we'll just say copy image or copy image link. I'll make it bigger. That's much better. So this we can see now. This just kind of gives you an idea of different ways that you can organize the Underground Nexus. The Underground Nexus by default is designed for scale right away. So it's a manager and you can scale it to a worker as soon as you feel like, oh, I suddenly am running out of resources for my Underground Nexus for my development. Well, you can just start adding workers whenever you're ready. Just start adding workers. And then let's say that suddenly you need to support more users. Then you can start adding managers, is what's being shown in the middle here in blue, and continue to scale your Underground Nexus environment up. And then if you use GitLab Geo, then you can start to scale across physical locations. And so that's kind of what that's getting into, is showing you at a high level how you can build those things. And I'll hand it back over to Laura for the high level stuff. Thanks for touching on that.
Next is the Zero Trust Cockpit stuff. So we're going to get back into this in just a second. And then over here we have some DevSecOps video training archives. So this is just kind of a guidance of how this whole process evolved, how the Nexus evolved, how the business model for the drop squads evolved. It's all documented in these videos.
It's all here.
So it's a great place to start to kind of start building your foundational knowledge that's going to help you succeed in the future as you build your own drop squad, build your own Underground Nexus, start developing your MVP. Those sorts of things.
Can play hide and hunt.
And then, of course, we have some recommendations for, your next steps once you finish this program, and depending on what you want to do. So let's hop into the Zero Trust Cockpit, unless you got anything else you want to say.
We're just trying to do the high level stuff. So the Zero Trust Cockpit looks like this, and it is a dynamic I guess workspace application that's pretty neat. You'll notice that the desktop, if you put it in half screen mode, changes with the you can make it have living desktops is kind of the theme there. So the desktop changes depending on aspect ratio to give you an idea of some things that you can do with it. The Underground Nexus now has a format of bash file that if you see something that's a jelly.bash, it's a file that's designed to basically run bash code across more than one node if there happens to be say like a load balancer or just other systems. So let's go ahead and grab our jelly.bash file here. I'm going to download the jelly.bash file and we're going to download it inside of the Underground Nexus. So if you're sketched out about the file, download it inside of the Underground Nexus and not outside of the Underground Nexus, and you don't have to worry about it being on some other part of your computer in like Windows or something. But it's not malicious, it's just a file, and you can inspect it. So let's go ahead and open this file. You can edit this if you want to. So it basically uses that Athena 0 node, which is our little root system. But I'm going to just go ahead and run this. So wherever your files live, you'll have to navigate your terminal to where your files live. So let's go ahead and find a terminal. Then, to make things easier, if you're not used to navigating a terminal yet, and if you don't spend a lot of time in terminal, then you can move the jelly.bash file into the config directory here, where it lives here. And if you type the ls like that, then that will allow you to see your file here. You can change directories with this cd command. So if you wanted to go to downloads instead, then you could change directory that way. For folks who aren't used to Linux. And then if you type cd space ... it'll take you back. So if you're not used to Linux, that might be interesting. And then when you
There's lots of guides out there, though, too, if you want to figure out how to do directory management and stuff for Linux. So
yeah, so when you're ready, then you just want to type this bash command by itself, and then you don't want to type sudo or anything, and just the name of the file. So you just want to bash the jelly. That's all you want to do. Bash the jelly. So when you bash your jelly bash, it's going to build something. That's all you have to do. Download it and bash the jelly bash.
yeah,
And then you just wait.
lots of waiting in the building of these things.
The nice thing about the jelly bash is you don't actually have to do anything. It's going to do everything. So we don't even have to try to figure out how to access it. So we're just going to sit here. We're going to sit back and relax. We're going to observe the no smoking signs and put our artillery away for the season. And all be civil in this house. So download seems to be complete, and now it's going to keep doing other things for itself. So it does quite a bit, but it doesn't do as much as the Underground Nexus, so it's not going to take as long as waiting for the Underground Nexus to build. And we don't have to activate anything. We just bash the jelly and we just wait.
Bash and wait.
And we don't even have to necessarily know how to find the right, URL and all those things. It's going to take us right to our cockpit as soon as our cockpit is ready. Now, some things that I'll talk about with the cockpit as we're waiting for it to load is it's designed to be a multi-tenant design where you can invite other people into your environment. You can have an entire drop squad in your Underground Nexus. If you don't know what drop squads is, then I will go ahead and pull up drop squads, which this course actually has the drop squad survival guide living inside of it. So while we're waiting for this, let's take a look at the drop squad survival guide at a high level, because it's a business model that you can actually use. It's applicable right away. This is the drop squad survival guide. It's a little small here, but we can make it a little bigger by saying
Open.
oh yeah, open.
Oh, I guess that wants you to save it. Okay.
Well, I guess we could also just make
There's a...
I just want to make it big.
Yeah.
This is easy. You can just control plus it.
Sure.
Amazing. It's right here. So now it's very large.
There it is.
So with our drop squad survival guide, it shows that you can use compute similarly to how Airbnb works, and the compute is the land. It's kind of like your room. People rent whatever an app is running on instead of renting a room to sleep in. So we show an entire business model and workflow, how you can work with a customer to build software using DevSecOps. And we even have dedicated roles that we kind of outline with examples. And while we might use gaming as somewhat of an example, realistically, we're focused on teams and people. Teams are people. So we care more about can people collaborate together? And when working in small teams, a team is a team, and if you have a goal, business works the same way. So there's an entire DevSecOps flow that you can use with your cockpit. And so basically one of these GitOps environments with GitLab, you can have everyone strapped into the exact same environment, all in their own cockpit. And so everyone can have a cockpit. And there's a great tool that we show in here called Twingate. Which I'll just scroll up to it. Let's see. So we've got, there's some there's a lot of videos in here, but wherever they live.
The videos are in the next
section.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Videos aren't in this section. They're in the DevSecOps Dojo video training archives.
The YouTube ones?
Oh, well, I don't know. I guess I didn't know it specifically.
I think oh, anyways, I'm just gonna.
Oh, okay. It probably was there. It's just at the very bottom. All of the videos at the bottom of that one.
All right. So, anyways, go to the very bottom of this, I guess.
I mean, the YouTube videos that are in there are up.
They're up?
Yeah, those are the ones.
Oh, my. Wow.
I don't know what specifically you're looking for.
I guess it's well, there are some network chuck videos in here, I thought. Anyways.
Those might be in a different course.
Oh, maybe that's it.
I think they're in a different course. I think you're thinking of a different program, unfortunately.
Well, I guess you're going to have to buy something.
Yeah. It's not part of the free training. Sorry, guys.
What I'll say is you can add a Twingate to the Underground Nexus. And Twingate's not free either. It has a free tier. But for basically starting a drop squad, I think it's free to start anyways. So, yeah, there you go. So to start a drop squad, at least 5 people, you can have a 5-person business.
So what does Twingate do? What does this do?
So Twingate is basically the gate for saying, hey, everyone who gets one of these little cockpit systems, Twingate will let you give everyone access to their own gates. So if we go back to our cockpit, oh, that's what it was doing. So our file finished. So the thing that we missed was when you run the jelly.bash file, it automatically opens its location here. So that's what it was doing, and I just didn't realize why it took me away from something. Our jelly.bash was done. So when your jelly.bash is incomplete, it will interrupt your browsing, because my browsing got interrupted, and it will open this extra crazy thing, which the default password is nosha.1, which it says in the course. So if you're trying to find the login for your cockpit, now that we're logging in, it is found down. It's in here somewhere.
It's in there somewhere. It's hard with these.
Oh yeah, there's so much information in here. I'm just gonna do this. That's it.
There you go.
It's highlighted. There's the password so you can see it. Code. It's confusing. When it loads, it's neat. You can put it in half screen mode, and it will give you, let's see, I gotta mash it over more.
Nathan's very proud of this feature.
I'm very excited about it. The moon jellies come out to play. So when you put it on like the side of your screen, then your cockpit gets, you can have it have different desktops, things like that. And then when you want your full glorious cockpit, you do that. Something about it is it has Chrome RDP in it, and so to add Chrome RDP, all you have to do to add Chrome RDP to this or to your Underground Nexus mate desktop is, I guess I'll just show you. So Okay, so I'll just show you what that looks like when you're setting up a key. So if you're setting up one of these things, you can say, you go to the link that says headless inside of the course and you say begin, and you go to next, you go to authorize, and then you can grab this Debian Linux string here. And then it times out, I think, after 30 minutes. Might be less than 30 minutes, but it definitely times out. So you have X amount of time to grab your key, and then you can minimize that. And then with these, you have to use these little clipboards to send information further into stuff. So then you can paste it into your environment until you're all the way where you can just paste whatever you want. But that's basically you can just paste your Chrome RDP key that way. You can also paste your Chrome RDP as an administrator through Portainer. And if using Portainer to enter a Chrome RDP key, what you would do is say you want to add your Chrome RDP to the workbench. You can go to connect and you can type su space dash space abc. That's actually really important. You can't use Chrome RDP as root. So you have to use the ABC user, and then you can paste whatever your string was for Chrome RDP. And you simply run it, and it's going to ask you for a PIN. And that is the other way to provide access to the Underground Nexus, which now you can go over to Chrome RDP and go to the access portion of your website, and you now officially have access to your device. So that is how you. And so this is a demo environment that's just going to get blown away, anyways. But that's how it works. That's how you would now give yourself access from across the World Wide Web all the way over to, so it's global. It's the thing about it is Chrome RDP works whether, as long as you have the internet connected, you can now access your environment from globally, remotely, from anywhere, as long as your system's online, as long as your Underground Nexus is running. And this is especially valuable if you're building your Underground Nexus in DigitalOcean or AWS or Azure. Chrome RDP is probably the best way to get access, if not otherwise Twingate, depending on what you're doing. So Twingate and Chrome RDP are my two top preferred ways to access a software factory.
So is there anything else we need to say about the Zero Trust Cockpit?
Zero Trust Cockpit is here.
You shrunk it down somewhere.
Let's go back to it. Wherever
you pulled it out and then you shrunk it somewhere.
It's right here. There it is. So some other things to know about the Zero Trust Cockpit, actually, before we get out of this. The Zero Trust Cockpit is actually a full-on studio suite with studio applications. So it has everything you need to basically build content and build business content or build beautiful software demos. So it has OBS Studio with everything, a little wizard that'll pop up that helps you configure it for your streaming needs. And you can see in multimedia it has a number of other options, including a media player, and you also have KDEN Live for doing video editing. So you can both produce video and edit it all in one place.
Okay.
I'll say okay. Yeah, there we go. So anyways, it will then load, and then you can start using your video editor. So
save all your files and...
That's right. Put all your files. So then that goes back to our recommendation for your file storage is minIO. And you can store video content, whatever you're doing, whether you're building software, whether you're building video content, whether you're doing something like working with NEMS Linux. And we build images and operating systems. If you want to get Underground Nexus OS, we build our own operating systems with our own Underground Nexus environments. So we build our own tools with our own tools, and there you go. And you can build tools with our tools too. Or you could build your own custom environments to do whatever you want with. Yeah, that's this is the Underground Nexus, and you have now seen the cockpit. You can put all your data, all your completed videos off into the minIO bucket and change the world. There you go.
Cool.
You have any final thoughts on people building their cockpits?
I don't
building
think
their
so.
Underground
I think
Nexuses?
it's like you see, it's pretty straightforward. It's really not that complicated. Just paste a couple lines of code, and you can get started.
Yeah. I guess I wonder. So Chrome RDP also has a remote support option, so you can do remote support with Chrome RDP too. Just know that. So I guess that's it. I guess we'll wrap it up for today. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks everyone.